Hello YouTube, we are back, and we are back with another upload in relation to the Flash Comics number 78. There it is, guys. Every page is leaf casted, and off camera what I did was I rounded the spine of each one of the pages, and there you go. See how nice and rounded it is? And it turned out, in my opinion, pretty good, pretty good. And I didn't show me rounding the spine on film, or I did not record it, because I tried a different technique than in past books, and I'm happy to say that the technique that I use for this book is the best I've ever done. And you guys may be saying, you always say it's the best, you always improve, but I did. And one thing that you can see is that there are no staple holes. In the past, I tried to do the staple holes before I rounded the spine, and it was very difficult to line up. Instead, I got a tip from Kenny Sanderson based on his pictures. He always shows the rounded spine of a wrap with no staple holes. So I did it that way, and we'll worry about the staple holes in a later upload. So here you go. This is the wrap. Look how flexible it is. And as you can see, this is leaf casted. This is the opposite side of the leaf casting. So the actual pulp, did it match up perfectly? No, it's difficult to match up perfectly because there is variations in colors for each one of the wraps. Here are the first two inner wraps. I already cut them, but now what I want to do is I want to cut each wrap at the same time to try to make a consistent seam on one side of the book. So I'm very happy with the way this came out, and as you can see, it's nice and strong. This was a book that the pages were falling apart, missing chunks. Now we're dealing with a book that is together and can be read. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to cut them all at one time? This may be a failure in doing it, and I hope it's not, but we're going to try to do it all at once. So what I want to do is I want to measure, number one, where the leaf casting ends on this page. So it's going to be about right here and here. We're going to put a mark on the front side, and then I want to make sure, and I want to check, I want to measure the distance from the spine to the mark, and I want to make sure they're the same on each side. Another thing that I did differently is that when I rounded the spines, in the past, the way I used to round them is I used to use dowels. I still did, but I used a mixture of water and methyl cellulose. This time I removed the methyl cellulose and I only used water. And I actually placed each page on top of the other when it was wet, and I formed the spine. And then when it was wet, I pressed it with my trusty behemoth press, the old 19th century press that I bought off of Craigslist. And I have to tell you, it worked out dynamite. I'll show you how I do it step by step when I leaf cast the Brave and the Bold, the interior, because I am going to conserve that book. So let me mark the actual distance. I'm going to do that off camera because I have to get close. But what I do is I'm going to use a pencil to make the markings. And whenever I deal with using a pencil on making markings on the book, I want to make sure it is extremely sharp point so I can put as little amount as lead as possible on the book when I make my markings. So stay tuned, I'll be right back. Let me mark this up. I don't want you to be obstructed because you'll see the back of my head because I have to get close. So stay tuned. Okay guys, we are back. And I marked the page right here. I shut the lights off above. I hope there's enough light here to see what I'm doing, but I want the camera to pick it up a little bit better, and because I'm using glass. So let's put the light this way and hopefully it's enough that it's coming up. So what are we gonna do? What we're gonna do is I'm gonna move my glass. This is my heavy glass, because the only way this really is going to work is if I'm able to secure the actual book so I can cut it and cut the whole thing. What I want to do is I want to bang it down. And guys, this can be a big failure, believe me. I want to bang it down. Let's see how this is coming out. It looks like it's pretty good. Let's flatten it out this way. And then what I want to do is I want to put my straight edge right on the line that I drew with a pencil. Then what I want to do, and I'm doing this all with you guys for the first time, whether it's gonna work, I don't know. Hopefully it will. So I want to try to make it where I could use the glass as a stop, and I want to try to thicken up the glass, lifting it up a little bit because it's falling down, if that makes sense. So let me get some backer boards. Let's use that. And the backer boards should at least be the thickness of the comic itself. So I'm putting the backer boards in next to the comic. I need a little bit more to put more pressure on it. So let's get a few more. And I'll reuse these backer boards. They're just being used as a weight right now, or actually a wedge, not a weight. So right now, I need to lift it more. Let's use a piece of craft foam. Maybe that will do it. So let's lift it up. Piece of craft foam. Maybe that will put enough pressure. I need a little bit more. So let's get a few more of the backer boards. And you're gonna watch, guys, right now. This can be, like I said, a complete failure. But there's only one way to find out, right? So I'm having a problem here adjusting this. I'm gonna have to do this off camera, and I think I may have to use the press to do this, the Big Bertha press. So let me devise something and I'll be right back. Okay guys, we're back. And I have the Big Bertha press, which I am going to restore. So what I want to do, and I hope you can see this because I'm doing a lot now. I got my 2 sheets of metal that I used to use. Let's see if the camera's picking it up. It is. I used to use these on my heat press. So what I want to do is I want to just get 2 pieces of paper, and these are legal papers on the side. So I want to get a regular piece of paper. Yeah, well, you just use a backer board. And I want to essentially use the metal as the template to cut it. So there's your line. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this metal sheet and we're gonna use the metal sheet as the ruler. and hopefully it works. So there we go. I have the metal sheet on the line that I drew with the pencil. Now what I want to do is I want to put this inside the press, just like that. And then let's measure it a little bit better. Let's get that on the line. And I have to go closer, guys, so let me just pause it for 1 second. Okay, guys, we're back. And I got it directly on the line the way I wanted it to. Let's just make sure. Okay, I'm gonna wrench down on this. So right now we have this metal piece acting as the ruler. So I think we're pretty good. I'm gonna hold on one more time. Let me look at it, and I have to get closer. Okay, guys, we're back. So I have it here. Hopefully this metal top plate will act as a guide so I can cut the sheets. The important thing that we're gonna do is we need to use new razor blades every few cuts because I don't want to ruin it. Another thing that I want to do is when I cut the actual leaf casting, I like to start from the middle and then I go down and I go up. And the reason why I do that is because I do not want to do it where it pulls the leaf casting, and sometimes that happens. What I want to do is I want to use little supports here, and what I'm using are blocks that I saved from when my daughter was younger. I always save pieces of wood because you can always use them in a lot of applications. In doing woodworking, wedges. So let's get a few more. And this is the blocks that I saved. So right there, as you saw, the blocks fit perfect the way I did it, and it will give the metal some extra strength. So it's nice and rigid. I am a saver. I do not like to throw things away if I think they can be used in the future. So look at that. Now we have a rigid basis to cut. So let's continue. We'll go down a few more. And hopefully I'm cutting at least a few wraps. People may think I'm crazy for doing this and you doing all this work just to make sure that the cut is nice. But if we're doing it, we might as well try to make it the best. And sometimes mistakes do happen. And there's nothing that could be done about mistakes. Mistakes are part of life. I wish I did this with Mike's book, the Captain Arrow, but I learned a lot from that book. And every time I do one of these books, it's a learning process. You have to understand, I have only been doing this for a few years. I'm not an expert. I don't get paid for the work I do other than the occasional book that is a-okay to me. So it's a learning process for me. And I try to do the best that I can. Let's get rid of that razor blade. Let's open up a fresh one. Now I'm doing this in the middle of working because I just came back from court. So I'm taking a little break. So right now it looks like we may have went through a few of the wraps, which is exactly what I want to happen. I hope the camera is picking this up. I am happy with the way it is going so far. I think I cut through another one. Look at that. So we're doing it. It's working the method the way I want it. I want it to work. And right now I just ran the razor blade against the metal so that this blade, or at least that side, is shot. So I want to flip it around because being sharp is the key aspect of doing this successfully. So let's get rid of that razor blade. And let's continue. I'm not talking much doing this because it is a very delicate procedure. Okay, guys, it looks like it's working. I'm going to shut the camera off because I want to get my eyes really close to this. And the only way I can do that is get close, and I'll be blocking the work area so you understand the gist. So I'll be right back, and fingers crossed. Okay, guys, I'm back and I'm almost done. And look at the cuts so far. They look pretty good. So let me finish up with you guys watching. And it's a slow process. You take your time. And I'm running the razor blade against the metal plate. And hopefully a nice consistent cut will be the result. And so far, I think I may have it. I think I may have achieved my goal. I hope you're enjoying this. See, this is why I have to restore this, because I'm running against rust, which is on this press, it being from 1890 or so. So I'm gonna make this brand new, this press. I'm gonna paint it, I'm gonna sandblast the metal. I'm gonna first take it apart. And whenever you use, or when you take something apart that's this old, because it does have screws and bolts, I use what's called, something called PB Blaster. It's a penetrating oil. And we're, done. We're gonna have to use that in order to make it where the bolts can be removed, and then I can start making it where we can take it apart. Okay, what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm going to go, I wanna wash my hands, because I'm gonna be honest, there's times in the past that I actually touched the press, or even the heat press where the piston is, and there's grease on there, and I touched it one time, and I remember touching a book and I got a grease stain on it. So here you go, guys, look. It looks like I may have achieved my goal. Another leap forward in conservation. I think what I can do is I can loosen up this press and I can take the book out. And let me close it. Let's put this back to the side. Man, this thing is heavy. But it just achieved the goal that I wanted. Hopefully, I'll be right back after I wash my hands and we'll do a reveal. Okay, guys, we are back for the reveal. There you go. I am very happy with the results. They look, in my opinion, pretty good. Let's open it up. A nice, smooth cut. This I can trim just a little bit, but generally speaking, these little pieces of paper I can sand off. But I'll tell you right now, to me, I think it came out awesome. Check that out. We got a factory cut book. And I'm sorry, Mike, I wish I thought of this when I did your book, but that was one of the problems when I did your book. I had issues lining everything up. But as it stands, I think I did an awesome job. Congratulations, Jerry. You did a wonderful job. Let me get rid of these metal sheets. So I amped it up. This is the new method by which I am going to cut books. This is factory. Look at that. Each page perfectly cut in a one or unison manner where they all line up nicely. Hope the camera's picking this up. I am very happy with the results. And this all this innovation, I have to give credit to Mike, Night Tiger, and Captain Arrow that I worked on. I was very unhappy with the way I lined up the cuts, but I achieved a goal now where it is perfectly lined up, minus a few points. It's really a good job. So now what we have to do is we have to work on the cover of this book. And as you can see, this is one portion of the cover, the front, and I have tons of little pieces that I have to put together. So what I'm going to do now is I have the exact measurement of how wide the cover has to be. So we have little pieces here, and it's all going to be leaf casted. And I think that this is going to be the best book that I ever did in conserving to date. And I want to thank all of the people who allowed me to work on their books. Roger, Mike, Night Tiger, Metarog's channel. All of those books helped me get to this point with the leaf casting and especially the cutting. Look how beautiful that looks. And especially now, look how nice and easy, once these staples are put in, this book will be able to be read every day without fear of it falling apart. And again, these little pieces here, I'll shave them off and it will be lined up perfectly. So, I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I want to thank you for coming along with me for the ride, for the interior. Looking forward to do the Justice League or the Brave and the Bold interior. And what I'm going to do now is put this in the press until I'm ready to do the actual the cover of this book. I want to keep it pressurized. I'll put it in here and we'll clamp down on it. So far my press that I got is a winner. It's an A+, and I appreciate the help that it gave me. So thank you. If you haven't been subscribed, or if you're not subscribed, please do. Thank you for coming along and watching the process. Any questions, feel free to ask, and stay tuned.
Come on, Jerry, you're wrong. People, they want to watch Freaks. This is a cat mess.